talk about it.
Okay.
I thought you were best conduit to find somebody appropriate.
I
for her.
really appreciate that. And I would be really pleased to assist her.
Yep.
Oh, I
Yeah,
hear
we're getting
myself.
some weird feedback. I thought we corrected that.
So,
Back, now it's back. It's okay.
It's back. It's back.
Tell 'em it's back. Check, check, check.
What they're- Last time I went selling, that was, I reaped it.
Felt it.
Recording in progress.
Oh,
That makes it worse.
I had done stupid things before. I mean, backpacking, do something like that.
mute your computer.
yeah.
Oh, is there some?
Can you turn the volume off your computer?
I'm muted.
You're muted, and how
But
about
it's coming through because
mute it and turn the volume way down?
I just. Check. Now it's back. This is the same exact setting. I still hear it. It's coming through from the back. Because it's everyone's hearing my computer, but I'm muted for certain.
Who else is on Zoom? Zoom?
So,
Recording stopped.
My kids eat it.
you're not only muted, but your speaker button is like down, 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 speaker down, down, down.
At least the last month
I know, and it's nice for us. But
I did that.
so Jude.
Does that change it?
Let's see. Yes. No feedback.
We can't hear it.
Check, check, check.
And
Would you tell him that I turned my, I remain muted, but I turned the volume down on my computer? If that matters or doesn't matter. Tell him that's what I did, but that cured the problem. I've never had to do that in the past,
and there's still rules.
but I've tried it and it appears to be successful.
Weeks of doing college energy
You're welcome.
and like staying out.
Oh, I didn't say that.
I'm still coming to your home.
Yeah.
We'll call it a half hour.
Yeah.
At first I was like, I trust him. He's like,
Susanna, I'll collect.
Pardon me?
We'll collect.
Oh, thank you. I'll be a subcontractor for you.
it's time. And he's like, I'm coming, I'm finishing food. And I was like, we're done.
Check, check, check. That was me. Check,
Yeah.
check.
He knew.
I think we're okay, but
Playing video games in someone's basement.
He was actually, like, he was in the city with friends in the city at a diner. And I'm like, listen,
did I restart it? No.
also,
I never, I hit the pause recording button, but I didn't, there, that's what
they
he
were
means.
bumping
But I
it. I
didn't
can watch because they're
restart it.
on Life 360. But here's the problem. His license isn't
Down?
valid after
Well, it is now.
midnight.
Yeah.
So then
And
we're
his, that means his
Okay.
insurance isn't valid. Yes, he drove. So we had a really big
Recording in progress.
come to Jesus talk.
check, check. Okay, we're ready to start when you are.
At 4, but at 4. You encounter things that you're not prepared for.
100%.
That you've never, mom and dad haven't taught you
He's a
about.
sheltered little copper boy.
Yeah. I mean, you do have to learn, just not when you're 17.
Ready to go when you are.
Okay, so I kick it off. Welcome to the Finance Committee meeting of the Village of Lake Bluff Village Board of August 24th, 2026. Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Member Fisher,
Here.
Member Renner,
Here.
and Chair Ryder.
Here. First order of business is approval of the minutes from June 22nd, 2026. Does anyone, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Does anyone have any comments or corrections to the minutes?
No.
Okay. Hearing none, it's roll call, no, it's voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No one's opposed, motion passes. Next is the non-agenda items comments from visitors. The Finance Committee allocates 15 minutes at this time for those individuals who would like the opportunity to address the committee on any matter not listed on the agenda. Anyone online?
Anyone participating in tonight's meeting online who wishes to address the Finance Committee on matters not on tonight's agenda, now is the time to raise your hand to be recognized. No one's raising their hand.
Okay, moving on. Business items. The first item of business is a discussion regarding updates to the sales tax and/or grocery tax. It starts in your packet at page 4 or 7 of 45, packet that was published online. There's a memo from Bettina O'Connell. As part of the Illinois fiscal year 2025 budget, the statewide 1% grocery sales tax was eliminated effective January 1, 2026. We discussed it as a committee and discussed it several times and ultimately as the board, and we decided not to do what was being done in other communities to adopt the grocery tax at a local level, which we could have done and chose not to do. At the request of the village board, staff has prepared an update of the revenue impacts to that decision. So since January 1st of 2026, we no longer were receiving from the state the 1% grocery tax, nor did we collect it on our own behalves. So what impact has that had, is the question. The village's updated analysis continues to show that the elimination of the grocery tax represents a meaningful recurring revenue loss. Because the village does not receive retailer-reported qualifying grocery sales by business, staff prepared a conservative estimate using aggregate sales tax information, retailer classifications, and actual collection trends. The analysis does not disclose confidential taxpayer information, retailer-level receipts, and account numbers, or individual business activity. We previously estimated that we would forego approximately $250,000 annually by eliminating the 1% grocery tax or choosing to forego it at the local level. But the updated model conservatively estimates $70,000 of foregone grocery tax revenue for January through March 2026, an upward trend which annualizes to $280,000 in receipts expected January 1 to January 1 of 2026. Actual sales tax collections received for the corresponding lagged period were below the comparable prior year period, providing additional support that the tax change has had a measurable fiscal impact. We need to go back to that at some point, but that's sales tax other than grocery tax, obviously. Okay. The Illinois Department of Revenue guidance provides that ordinances filed by April 1 take effect July 1 of the same year, while ordinances filed by October 1 take effect January 1 of the following year. The next filing deadline available for Lake Bluff is October 1, 2026, which would allow implementation effective January 1, 2027. Possible next steps. 1, continue monitoring sales tax trends and update the revenue estimate as additional post-repeal data becomes available. I would post-repeal, yeah. post-repeal and non-implementation by us. And number 2, present the ordinance for board approval at an upcoming meeting. Number 3, submit the certified ordinance to the IDOR via mail. Possible next steps. 1, 2, and 3 follow from one another, correct? So we would have the board approve it and then submit it.
Yes,
So those aren't either or.
correct.
The first 2 are either or. Okay. And the attachments to this memo were the list of municipalities adopting their own 1% sales tax, and then a draft ordinance is the second item. There is, you can see when you scroll down the many pages of the municipalities that have adopted it, that I think was 800, I just scrolled right by it. 800, exactly. Other municipalities have adopted the optional sales tax when it was repealed at the state level. So the question for us is whether this is something we want to consider again, and I think it's an appropriate time for us to, with at least some data behind us, give some thought to whether this is something we do want to do. At the time, we decided not to impose the 1% grocery tax. We did discuss imposing an increased sales tax for general merchandise
As an alternative.
as an alternative, and opted not to do that. So that was at least one approach that we had considered. And I suppose that approach is still on the table as well, if we chose not to do this. So 800 municipalities have done so. I don't know what the delta is. I don't know if that leaves 2?
That's what I was about to,
Us?
that would be helpful for me to know who hasn't, yeah.
Bettina, are you there? I don't know if you can hear us, Bettina.
I am there. Hi.
Hey,
Good evening.
you're not booming in if you're worried about that. Bettina
I
did
am
some
worried about
research
that.
into this. You want to share that with the Finance Committee, please?
Sure. So about 580 communities have opted not to, and primarily a lot of those communities are smaller communities with little or no grocery sales tax, so that that wouldn't make sense for them to implement. The revenue is too small and there's no stake in it. Or others still made a decision, and there were about 58 to 60 that have joined on since the reporting that was included in the packet. So for the July 1 deadline. So slowly upticking. I think the majority of the people that haven't joined, it's related to their small communities. There just isn't any viable grocery sales tax to get.
So do I understand you to
About
be?
60% have done it. And the remaining are smaller entities. We don't have the exact data, but the speculation is there may not be a grocery store in the town. There's a lot of towns that don't have grocery stores.
Because we're a small community, so I think that when we say small, I think that information,
I'm thinking small downstate.
Maybe maybe I
Not-
should say more rural than small.
Yes,
rural.
Yeah.
It says population spread, nearly half of all Illinois municipalities have fewer than 1,000 residents. So I guess we're small by some standards and medium-sized by others. So we don't know what the number of those that do have meaningful retail or grocery sales that have opted out are. But I think what you were saying, Bettina, was that those who maybe didn't catch the October 1 deadline, or perhaps otherwise thought better of it, have added to this list of municipalities that have done so as of the July 1 deadline. More
Right,
have
and
done so.
that list truly is just based on who has reported to the Illinois Municipal League that they've actually filed and submitted the ordinance. So it's somewhat voluntary. So there could be one-offs missing. I mean, it's not a hard number.
I see. So it's not a number generated by any kind of state agency. It's a number generated by who bothered to tell the
Exactly
municipality.
who's filed the ordinance and who's tracked it with the Illinois Department of Revenue.
Okay.
It's voluntary.
can we talk about this? So that the actual sales tax collection received is, for this year, is less than last year? Right?
So, yes, But you can't assume that the fluctuations are strictly related to grocery tax because we don't have the breakouts in the actual revenue for what portion is grocery that wasn't reported versus what's regular sales tax. So we did analysis based on the types of businesses and estimated weighted values of what portions of their sales typically should be grocery tax and therefore derive these numbers. There isn't a way to like get a listing and share a hard coded number with you, if that makes sense.
It does.
Bettina, I'm sharing with the Finance Committee the often referenced sales tax revenue
Sure.
graph. And just if you would remind the committee what goes into that number, and then I'll scroll down after that to talk about this.
What goes
The sales tax by commercial sector. But the first
So-
one has to do with, let me get to the sales tax revenue. Hopefully-
I have a definitional question. We talked about it earlier today. When we're saying sales tax here, prior to 2026, that meant grocery and merchandise. I don't know how else
Yes.
to say it. Elsewhere, we reference home rule sales tax, which is X. How is that different than the?
Well, home rule is exactly what it implies. It's an additional 1% that we have tacked onto sales tax. So it's taxing the same things that general sales tax would tax.
I see.
But not grocery.
I see.
The
So
same
this
types of
is,
clothing and furniture and appliances and household goods, yes.
well,
Oh.
then this should tell us by the process of mathematics,
yeah.
right? This should tell us historically, what percent of our sales tax was generated by these categories that are also home rule sales tax, but we don't need to do math right now. But
Indirectly, it's assuming there were no increases or decreases to those sectors on their own.
But the estimate we have is in the report right now, right?
Right.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yes.
that was,
That estimate is based on, is the best data we've been able to get. And
So-
it's pretty close to.
We lost, the estimate is that we've lost $70,000 so far, and they were likely to hit $280,000 loss for
the fiscal year, or no, for the year, for the
Yeah, for the-
calendar.
yeah.
for calendar year,
12
yes.
months, yes.
Yep, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
So in other words, more than the number we were discussing. 'Cause we were assuming 250, yes.
So
Right.
going back to the home rule, so the home rule is identical to the other merchandise categories? I thought there was one that excluded cars, for
Home rule
example,
excludes titled vehicles,
and that's all it
Yeah,
excludes.
yes.
right.
So,
An
okay,
additional village tax on general merchandise is home rule.
I see. Which is identical to the other sales tax that's reported in the other chart, except it doesn't include titled vehicles. This doesn't include titled vehicles.
This
Or no,
one
this one
does.
does, and the other one doesn't. Okay.
Right. It doesn't include, does not apply to medicines, titled products, and automobiles.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
And then this chart, Bettina, the one that from the state's data. Could you describe that to the group, please?
Sure. So that's just compiling all the sales tax returns for Lake Bluff and sorting them in their sales tax category. So each business is identified by an SIC code that's related to the type of merchandise or product they're selling. So they provide that information by sector, not by vendor or manufacturer or a specific name. So we can see what the totals were based on a specific type of item sold.
And I see there that food is less than prior years annualized, but that's not zero. So food must be taxed other than the grocery tax we've been talking about on that line in 2026? Or are we talking, is this fiscal year? Maybe this is fiscal year.
This is just through March 31st of 26, and that's reporting that I
it's
believe is
calendar year.
lagged. So
But why is there
First
anything on
quarter.
food?
I'm sorry?
That's my question. Why is there anything on food in 26 then, in 2026? if it's first quarter of 2026
Because
actual.
there are still food charges related to restaurant and prepared food
I see.
that are not grocery tax.
It's imperfect because there's foods charged differently if it's made for consumption on-site versus
Oh,
off-site.
yeah.
So
Right.
it gets nuanced.
That's right.
And it's not
It's not a
segregated that way.
grocery if it's ready to eat and they give you a fork, right? Or
Everybody
something
generally
like
knows who the
that, right?
grocers are in the community, but also people do sell food products that's charged and taxed as grocery. You think about going to the store, oh, I'm buying a bottle of wine, maybe I'll pick up an orange. You know, so it's like, there's a lot of businesses that report sales that are food oriented, and so it's not just the main grocers that are also included in these numbers, but it's obviously they're the most substantial providers of those receipts.
And there's also a lag in the way these receipts are presented. So a March receipt would be from 2 months prior, so it could be January's. So we're walking a fine line between when we actually get to the point of not collecting versus collecting. The next quarter will be more telling
So a high
as soon as
level
they post it.
a high level summary is sales tax numbers. Grocery tax numbers that the village previously received, we stopped January 1. The pace of those receipts for this calendar year thus far are ahead of where they were last year, which we generally attribute to inflation, but they're up. And anecdotally, one of the businesses in town said to me that they don't believe that the village is their consumers didn't know that the tax was taken away and didn't know they were paying it before. That was their general view of the situation. So the purpose of this is to share based off, I think the board was concerned and wanted to see what these numbers look like. This is how they're trending. This is the first look we thought was a reasonable time frame to share with you all 6 months into the calendar year. We can certainly continue and provide another update 6 months from now. We can, if there's direction to bring an ordinance to create this tax, there's a draft ordinance in the packet for you all to review if you have questions about that. There's a couple different windows in the year that's in there, the action window, there's a couple times a year the village can do this. And so we're here for your direction and questions.
Chair Ryder.
yes.
I'd like to ask Drew a question.
Sure.
Based on what you just said, our hypothesis of being a grocery destination, that's not the case, based on what you just said, correct?
You mean by not taking the tax, would people choose to shop in Lake Bluff for that reason?
By the shoppers not knowing or feeling
That's
the
correct.
1%.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we also, can I please? Mm-hmm. And we also have the grocery tax bills is not only placed upon only people from Lake Bluff. Mm-hmm. It's also a mix of different communities coming to shop in our community, that is Highlands and Target, for example.
This discussion evolved over the course of several months when the issue arose last year. And our understanding of the impact and who is impacted most directly by a grocery tax, I think, was a significant concern for many of us. I know many of us talked about that. The issue with grocery tax is those most in need who do get SNAP are not subject to it nonetheless, with or without a tax. It doesn't help or hurt people who rely on SNAP for the SNAP-related expenses. Once they run out, it would impact them. So that at least mitigates the impact to our most needy shoppers. And you point out not all are Lake Bluff residents, but nonetheless are in communities that surround us. So that was one of the factors that I recall giving me some comfort with allowing it to continue. But I also recall that as the discussion evolved, recognizing that folks that qualify for SNAP are not the only folks who are really struggling. And so we didn't want to impose this if we didn't need to. It's not in this memo, but I recall very clearly that we discussed at some length the possibility of exchanging grocery tax for general merchandise tax, and it was going to be 0.25 was going to raise roughly the same amount, as I recall. Perhaps I'm misremembering that, but I know it wasn't a 1% trade. It was a smaller general merchandise tax, if you will, was going to result in a replacement of the grocery tax, and decided not to do that. So I take it by not having it in the memo, it's not back on the table. But since we did have a robust discussion about it, I wanted to remind everyone that we talked about that as well, and that was another method to replace this revenue. Did you have anything that you wanted to talk to?
I appreciate you summarizing it because I wasn't
On the board at the
that
time.
And it was important for me to hear that part or all was, there was an interest in understanding food insecurity, food affordability for the residents. We are an affluent community, so the majority of us are, the majority of the households in Lake Bluff are in the 10% or certainly above the 20%. But we do have seniors, we do have people, who may be struggling for one reason or another, and I have an idea for that.
Oh, okay.
So what we could do, according to what my study says, is we could re-implement the tax at 1%, and then we could take a percentage of the sales tax. Let's say it's $280,000, and we say 10%, 20%. And the board could implement a food security grant program which offers vouchers and support for low-income residents or the income residents struggling to be able to get support for food. So out of 280,000, we might lose 50, but we get the bulk of it back to continue to build infrastructure, do things for the residents, and for those most at risk in our community, there would be additional support. So that's just an idea. And other communities have established food grant programs. It could be as simple as we take the grant and we give it to the food shelters in the area. It could be that we issue vouchers, which is a little bit more complex for the village, but it could be something we could look at to make sure that we've kind of covered both ends.
During the pandemic, we had looked at what were the options for people being facing hunger, literally, during the pandemic. The township is actually role is that to provide alternatives to when you have an issue. The second thing is the Northern Food Bank is also delivering, and that's on 120 and Waukegan.
Right.
For whoever is listening, that's a possibility. But I like that possibility of, let's say you said $50,000, for example.
Yeah, I think rather than setting a dollar number, a percent's better, so it fluctuates. We're doing, giving it 10 or 20 or whatever we decide, but that decision, I'm sure, along with our legal counsel, we could write up this grant programs, in a way that we would have a separate discussion on how to use it, whether we just give block grants to food banks or whether we do something here within Lake Bluff directly for residents.
The other factor that I recall discussing late in this discussion, by late I mean over a period of months, we discussed it several times, so toward the end of it, was the notion that we know that we have significant expenditures that will be coming. We're not saving for a rainy day. We know that the very, very, very rainy days are here. The storm, and by this I speak about stormwater. So it is not a matter of just tighten our belts. We can do without. We know that we need this
That
or some
activity
other
alone,
revenue.
yeah.
We need this or some other revenue to pay for stormwater. Anyway, that's my recollection of my concerns as they evolved over the course of several several months of discussion. But did you have a comment, or someone else have a comment?
No, I think it's ripe to bring back to the board at this point. We did what we said we were going to do, and we had a pretty robust back and forth of changing minds, and it was a deep analysis of the pros and cons. So I love what you just suggested, Brian. I think that is a great thing for us to explore more and build out. It kind of addresses what we all, the folks who wanted to, who didn't want to impose the 1% tax were thinking about, well, we're mirroring what the state intended, which was let's make groceries affordable for those people who it really would make a difference for. And so that's, even if it's a symbolic gesture, it matches and it aligns with the values of our village. But I don't think we can overlook, that is a lot of money. It was a lot of money before, it's turning out to be more, and those people who are potentially our neighbors and friends who are food insecure also are going to be negatively impacted if we can't find the money for this, the stormwater management. So, yeah, it is definitely time to reconsider, in my opinion.
Chair Ryder, although I'm not on your finance committee,
We welcome hearing from you.
I appreciate it. First of all, Bettina, thank you for keeping us informed. You've always done that. We've always asked that of you. I know I said a year ago that if we made the wrong decision here, I'd be willing to change my mind and say I was wrong, and it looks like this deserves to come back around. Brian, it's a great idea. Implementing it might be a conversation for Drew and his team, but I think that's a great idea. It's the intent of what we wanted a year ago, or whatever.
Great.
So of the options that were presented in the memo, it appears ripe for discussion for the full board.
Yeah.
And perhaps what we could do is build out what a food security fund might look like, and how it might be implemented as part of this. And we go through some discussion with legal regarding that as well, how we would go about implementing it. Regis, yeah.
So I would have a question for you, and that's a question for Drew. If we were to actually allocate a fund that would be a fund to fight against food insecurity, for example, what would be the requirement from your end for infrastructure management and basically management and making this process operational?
Yeah, presuming it would be legal, we have to check that.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting, the idea that if the village was going to set up a fund, and that would it be funds limited to residents only or others?
Yeah.
Or are we doing Shields?
Yeah.
Because Shields did or still does have.
Still does.
I mean, if the concept is people outside of Lake Bluff shop at Target and Heinen's, that likely.
2/3 are paying that bill.
Right.
Right. Lake Bluff is, or I should say, it's about 60-40.
Right.
And so the idea that if it's,
The shoppers.
yeah, or mostly out-of-towners. So the idea, I don't know if I don't think our data can say it's Shields Township, but a big, half of that, 60% is Lake Forest.
It's
Which
it's
has
fair to
3
say.
townships, so, but
Right.
it's bigger, right, the universe for shoppers. So, we can look at that and see what is some feasible mechanisms, to make it, administrative light, so we don't create a new burden that was intended.
Can I ask a question,
Yes.
Drew? So I'm envisioning something similar to what we've done with the property sales tax
I was thinking
rebate.
this-
That's based,
Yeah,
and it isn't necessarily a fund, but some sort of pool that we budget for
Budget
every
for it,
year
yeah.
and allow for rebates based on income. and the receipts that they provided and set a threshold for what that maximum could be, based on income, whatever that is, $500,
Like the senior property
$300.
rebate program.
I'm just
Right.
curious
Whatever we do.
how do we educate people on that option, knowing that that is an ongoing issue for us generally? And if it's already an established, I'm just going to say, I feel like I'm leaning towards, fine, make a pooled fund, but it goes towards an established food bank where there's anonymity. It's
Right.
just, you go, you get what you need instead of having to identify yourself as.
Maybe it's a blend, but it's like you budget
Yeah.
funds towards that, and you can, and there's different, because I think the library is keeping a small food shelf now. And like
Oh,
with
that's
li-
awesome.
So,
The-
and the churches do, local churches do as well.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of years ago, the Phoenix Rising was the food pantry for the township. And that entity, I mean, it might have resurrected, but not making fun, but that entity was dead, okay? And so the advice we had given was, you need to go to Northern Food Bank, but is every week on 120 and 43. So we probably don't have a mechanism to, beside maybe Grace and Union, to actually distribute food in a very convenient manner. So that program named by Bettina might be a very good choice.
Well, I'll leave it up to Drew and legal to search that. I know that the suggestion was a food security grant where entities that include food pantries, meal providers, and schools who want to apply to the village for grants would then be awarded every year grants from this pool
Yeah.
to support their programs. And then that way, we're not automatically just giving it to Northern Illinois Food
love
Bank.
this, yeah.
We evaluate it each year based on their metrics or whatever.
Well, we will, of the options, we can bring it back to this group, or if you want to bring it to the board and report out to the board for those that aren't here, and share something, what that could look like. We can pencil that around and try to bring back 2 weeks from now to the board.
I think we understand the financial aspect of it. I think, I think the societal impact of it is real for all of us. And so I do think it needs to come back to the full board. in my opinion.
Is October our deadline to get this resolved and in?
It's a deadline. It's not the final, right? There's another one that comes up in the spring. It's just more time passes. We'll work on this, but Tina and I will talk with legal and find out, here's some options, what it looks like. I think we have the direction.
We have 2 meetings in September.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let me get back to the right page. Okay, moving to our next item of business, 4B, an investment update. Is that Bettina, or is that you?
Just from a high level, we included the village's investment policy and cash management policy. It doesn't get a lot of eyes on it. There's not a lot of, changes that happen with that, which makes sense in terms of the village doesn't have a lot of investment vehicles. We're not putting village receipts into lottery tickets or other derivatives or any other high-risk investments. Pretty stable, standard investment, but the village does try to diversify its revenues. We've historically put a lot of our village's money into IMET and Illinois funds, and we've branched out and had picked up some other smaller banks to just diversify. Bettina, do you want to talk about what the plan is?
Sure. So last time the finance committee reviewed the cash management policy was in 2018, and there really were just literally like 4 legal words that were changed in the policy. So as Drew said, not much has changed, and there really isn't a need to do that. I'm just looking for other options. Old National is a bank that we do some business with insofar as they provide a service for electronic capture, where when someone goes online and issues a paper check through their account to us for their water bill, it captures that electronically prior to the check printing, and we get a file every day and upload those payments, and it just eliminates a lot of extra work. And we also have the village credit card through them. So to connect an account that would be guaranteed at Illinois funds rates would allow us just to invest and move some of those funds from the utility billing and maybe pay a credit card easier through one bank account rather than have money being transferred from local Lake Forest Bank or Illinois Funds account. And we are pretty Illinois Fund heavy, so it'd be good to kind of diversify that and spread it out a little bit.
Does anyone have any questions about what's being proposed? There would be no need then to change the policy itself. It's there for informational purposes.
By code, the finance director has the authority to do this. It was just and historically, because there's been so little diversification, we just started bringing it to you just to informational purposes, really. Just
And so
for Bettina or have other comments, certainly happy to hear them, but it's really informational.
Right. Full disclosure.
okay. Anyone have any questions or concerns?
No. I know that Old National is actually used by quite a few communities around us, so I have no concern with that.
Okay, that brings us to 4C, staff updates.
The only related update I would provide is it's a little bit of a preview of the capital improvement presentation later tonight at the regular village board meeting. But if you saw in the packet or in the info report that went on Friday was a letter from IDOT about their investment into the deep tunnel project. They've gone from 6 to 8.
Yeah.
Which is
great news.
excellent in the right direction. I don't think we're done talking to them. Regis and I sat down with them. This is the result. There was some arm
worked,
twisting. Unfortunately, it was on the wrong
Show
side.
'em what you got.
But we're still working, but definitely in the right direction, and going to keep pushing. But that was a good news and helpful as the project continues to prepare for the final few legs. So that was really all we had. Happy to answer any other questions. Bettina, you didn't have anything else, did you?
No, I didn't. We just left that there in case
Yeah.
you wanted to talk about what you just did.
Yeah, and I did.
What's the end date for that again?
For the the end. Can I hit pause button and create a little exigence for?
That's fine. Good, yeah. Okay, we'll hit it.
Yeah. For the first leg that's happening right now, it's November. But
Okay.
part two, I'm sorry, strike that. The first leg is done. The second leg is, more importantly, is that when we finish and we end up in the viaduct, we have to end up there in the summer.
Summer.
Any summer, but a summer, because we're going to have a closure for a period.
Okay.
And a good number for my dot would be 10.
I think 8 is a great number. I would like to find more, but let's not put water on those hot embers while they're still warm.
Can we just remind
Yeah.
that we were thinking we need 11 total?
We asked for 12.
12.
We thought 12 was fair.
Yeah.
Given that they benefit without our pipe that we're building and designing.
Yes.
Their pipe doesn't work, and so they should pay half of it. And that was our approach.
Yes.
And the concern is the longer they wait, the higher
The
the
higher
price.
it goes up for everybody.
The higher the price is going to be, so we want to get this done now.
Yeah.
Simply enough.
That's all I have.
Okay. Before we adjourn, I want to just return for a minute to the sales tax and grocery tax discussion. Is there any additional information other than how we might implement a fund that we need from staff when the full board considers it? Terrence's question was the same as mine. When we see 800 municipalities, which ones don't have, was my curiosity. That's not necessary. Your answer makes sense to me. There's not many more municipalities with grocery stores in them. I guess that would be nice to know if it was knowable, but perhaps it's not knowable.
I mean, Susan, I can try to cross-reference. I mean, it shouldn't be hard to get a list of all the municipalities and compare them to the list that has them.
That has,
Yeah, I
Grocery
mean, that
stores.
seems like it should be a basic.
if it's
cut and paste in
something,
Excel. So
since both Taryn and I had that question, it seems like it's vanishingly small, the number when you X out the number of municipalities that have no retail.
They're gonna have something. They're gonna have a convenience store
Yeah.
that sells,
Yeah.
right, milk
Yeah.
and things like,
Yeah.
there's going to be something.
Meaningful, anything
Yeah.
meaningful. Is there anything else, though, before we leave this topic? Because we will have, if we want to implement a change, we'll have 2 meetings in September.
Yeah, and to be clear, to that specific request for further information.
Yeah.
At this point, staff would not be bringing information about the previous conversations, like saying as an alternative, a quarter-cent increase in the sales tax. We won't be bringing that unless directed to do so.
Yeah, that's one reason why I wanted to circle back to this while we have a minute or two. I would probably be the culprit. So I wanted to make sure that we know what Drew brings back next 2 weeks from now, when we have the first of 2 meetings in September, will be sufficient for us to make this important decision. Did you have a comment, Rafi?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Ryder. One of the things I asked for at the last time we talked about this was to get feedback from the Business Advisory Ad Hoc Committee. It might be worth going back to them one more time, saying, hey, it's a year later, now we're going to change. Do you have any feedback for us to consider?
And for the group's reference, last time they said, take it. They
That's
said-
right.
That's what they said, but I'm happy to go around the horn and ask.
Yeah. I think at the time, we were talking about the 0.25, which felt like a new tax. Nobody really understood that.
No, I'm talking about the grocery tax.
I know, but we
Okay.
were, as I recall, we were saying, what about taking 0.25 to make up the revenue? 0.25 to merchandise? I mean, I really think that we were talking about that pretty seriously at the
And
time.
their view of that was, that alternative was more complicated and
Yes.
never existed,
Yes,
and that the benefit of collecting the grocery tax is that it's historically been collected, and
Yeah.
it's such a nominal fee that it's just made
Yes.
sense to maintain that tax.
understood. So I understand that we don't have everyone here. Those of us who are here should speak now. If there are additional pieces of information we need from administration for us to be able to make what is a important policy decision. I know, 1% isn't noticed by most people, and maybe not even the people who need it most, but it is nonetheless a policy decision that we're faced with. And so I want to make sure that we have what we need in front of us. It seems to me that Mundelein had waived, somebody, because they were making so
Mettawa.
much money.
Mettawa.
Mettawa, that was right, because they were making so much money
Oh, is that
from Costco.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they regularly rebate sales tax to their residents.
Right, that's the
accurate.
one I remember. Is it not on this list, Mettawa?
They have not re-added it, according to that list.
And according to this list, yeah.
They're
So
cut-
if you
run us
really,
over.
you can pay $120 and have a Costco membership and save your 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not on here. Anything else that we can think of that was relevant to us? I appreciate that adding 0.25 was not popular, but there isn't uniformity in the towns around us as to what their sales tax collection was. As I recall, we had some that were collecting more, much more than even 1.25 would put us at.
And I thought one of the friction points with that approach was that people may consider 1% of groceries is different than 1% or 0.5% on a new car. And they need to put local dealers at an economic
That's-
disadvantage by increasing that. We felt like that was more of a friction point.
It would certainly be more noticeable.
Yeah.
Drew, correct me if I'm wrong, though, that 0.25% would not apply to automobiles,
That's
drugs.
what I thought.
But I thought that the one
And-
on the food and beverage does not apply to us, but the sales tax,
If
it does.
if it's an overall, it would.
It would.
I was thinking, we talked about whichever home rule or the other sales tax, as I recall,
Yeah.
Rafi's right, that we weren't talking about the 0.25 going on top of the tax that does apply.
So there are three home rule, or I guess sales taxes. So there's the home rule municipal service tax, and then the home rule retailers occupation tax. Those two have to match. So if you did increase a 0.25, those have to match, and those are on everything that's not like with the title. So, and then there's a home rule use tax, which is for cars, boats, things that do have to be registered with the state. So technically there are three. They all were passed together in 2005 at the same time. So if you wanted to amend them, but you could
them out.
you could single them out if you wanted, except the service tax and the occupation tax statutorily do have to be raised together in those quarter increments if you wanted. But theoretically, you could do either the use tax, which is just singling the cars, or you could just take those two, the service and retailer tax without the car as well.
Speaking to myself as much as anyone, I will say that I am fine with not bringing back the idea of a substitute tax for discussion.
I think it's clean.
You're going to write that down, Drew. Okay. I will not be asking you. See, he's taking a note. Susan promises. She's not.
That was you. Yeah,
I know.
that was you.
It was me. I know. Anyway, okay, so I'm vowing to not re-raise that as an issue. So with that in mind, we think we have what we need to have the policy discussion next time we meet as a whole group.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, I think we're ready to adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we're getting back together at 7 PM.